Well, bringing us up to speed on these latest statements by Moscow, I'm joined now by Natasha Kuhrt, lecturer in international peace and security in the Department of War Studies at King's College London. Natasha, thanks for joining us. How seriously should we take Sergei Lavrov's statements?
Well, I think we need to see this as, a kind of another Russian kind of threat in a long series of threats that have been made in the last year or so. It's become a kind of standard Moscow line. At the same time, these F-16's in theory do have the capacity to carry nuclear weapons. But actually, I think most fighter aircraft do have that capacity. But the point is, it's not a question, it's not something that's easily done, and it's not something that will happen. And I think, the Russians know that. It's actually, a system that, can't just be sort of inserted in any kind of easy way. It's all about nuclear codes and so on and so forth. And it's so the likelihood of, these F-16s carrying any nuclear weapons is basically zero. And the Russians know that.
Well, so maybe a bit of a tactical game being played, which has been the case for much of the war. But in terms of the planes' imagined capacity, aside from anything nuclear, how desperate is Ukraine for the delivery of these weapons?
I think obviously, and I think in your report you also mentioned it. Clearly Russia has had air superiority over Ukraine since the beginning. I think any fixed wing aircraft and training of pilots and so on is going to be valuable. But it's difficult. Obviously, and as your report said, it will take about 6 months for these pilots to be trained. It's one of those difficult things to tell how crucial these F-16s will actually be. Obviously, it will have to be seen in the broader context and in conjunction with other, weaponry and so on that is given to Ukraine in the longer term. Some people suggest that it's very unlikely that F-16s are going to actually give Ukraine any air superiority, and that actually what Ukraine has been doing, which has been their kind of, which has been a very kind of successful strategy, if you like, has been their strategy of, air denial to Russia. And that it should basically continue, air superiority, denial of air superiority to Russia, rather than trying to achieve air superiority outright, which seems unlikely, which isn't to say that these aircraft will be useless, but, it may be that that is just not achievable. And some people are also saying that really what Ukraine needs is more short-range air defense systems, because essentially when Ukraine is trying to advance, particularly across this kind of endless flat terrain, they're coming under attack from Russian, coming under bombardment from Russian attack helicopters. So, it's about having a kind of probably a range of different missiles and weapons at one's disposal. And of course, the US has still not transferred any ACMS tactical missiles to Ukraine, and I think those will probably be very helpful to Ukraine.
Oh, we'll see just how helpful they are. Thank you so much, Natasha Kuhrt. That's Natasha Kuhrt from the Department of War Studies at King's College London.